Hey, this is the cleaning lady's number, right? So I know you just clocked out and everything, but do you think you could come back to the office? My desk is a mess, and I need you to straighten it up for me.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sure who I'm speaking to. I believe you may have texted the wrong number.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? You can't remember your employer's phone number? I know you're old, but are you going senile or something? This is a business, not an old folks' home. You should have all our phone numbers programmed into your phone in case we need you for something. If that's too much for you to handle, then it's time for you to retire.
What?
Good grief, am I talking to a brick wall here? This is why I hate working with old people, especially old women. Like, do you even remember the name of the company you work for? I am an employee of Midlane Technologies, the company paying you to clean our office.
Well, it's true that I do a bit of cleaning around the office at Midlane Technologies, but I'm afraid you're mistaken. You aren't my employer.
What do you think it means to be an employee, Granny? We give you money to do work for us. That makes us your employer. Sales associates like me sell things to make that money, which we then give to you. So the money the company gives to you was earned by us. That makes us your employer.
If you would give me a moment to explain, I can clear up your confusion.
I'm the one who's confused? I don't want to hear that from you. You're the one who's too senile to remember what her job is and who she works for. Ugh. This is why I hate the cleaning staff. It's all a bunch of low IQ rejects. Listen up, my desk is disorganized. I've got files strewn over the whole thing, to the point that I don't even know what color the darn thing is. My obnoxious boss is being a jerk about that and is demanding that I clean it all up by tomorrow. But I want to go home right now. There are all sorts of things I'd rather do than clean up my desk. One of my favorite influencers is going to start up tonight's live stream any minute now. I can't miss it.
Is that what you're contacting me about? You want me to organize your desk for you? Actually, before you answer that question, the more pressing concern to me is how you got my phone number in the first place.
You're always wasting time chatting it up with the geezer who runs security, right? I figured he might know your number, and when I asked him about it, sure enough, he did. Then I asked him very nicely to give me your phone number. He said no. Next, I ordered him to give me your phone number, and he got the point.
Well, I see you could use a lesson or two in common courtesy.
So anyway, hurry back here and clean up my desk. This is an order from your employer.
I'm terribly sorry to say this, but I cannot comply with such an order.
What did you say?
The terms of my contract are very clear. All I'm responsible for cleaning are the bathroom, kitchen, and other common spaces. I have no obligation to clean any areas other than those which I have been assigned.
You think I care about your stupid contract? That slip of paper means nothing to me. I'm your employer, and as your employer, I order you to clean my desk. Are you going to disobey a direct order from your superior? That's flagrant insubordination. I could have you fired for that, you know.
You wouldn't.
I will, unless you haul it back here and straighten up my desk by the end of the day. If you even think about disobeying me, you can kiss your job goodbye, Granny.
Excuse me, Keith, do you have a moment? There's something I need to discuss with you regarding your company.
Oh yeah? That's unusual. You typically never bring up work stuff with me. What's up, Mom?
Are you familiar with the new employee who just joined the company a few weeks ago? Since you run the place, I presume you've read at least through her resume before any hiring decisions were made.
Yeah, definitely. I know all about her. I leave most of that stuff to the human resources team, but I am the company president, so the buck stops here. If I'm not mistaken, you're talking about that girl. What was her name? It's Laura, right?
Is she an acquaintance of yours?
It's a crazy coincidence, actually. Me and her were classmates back at university, though she was a grade behind me. We hadn't spoken to each other since graduation, but she called me out of the blue about a month ago. She was a total wreck. Apparently, the last company she worked for went under, leaving her without a job. So we got to talking, and I ended up bringing her on to the sales team at my company.
Ah, I see. I wasn't aware of the background behind getting her hired.
What can I say? I see a pretty girl crying, and I can't help but do what I can to make them smile again. Aren't I pathetic? But it just so happened that we were short one member on the sales team, so it was great timing. The girl she's replacing went on maternity leave, so I hired her to fill that gap.
Goodness, that is good timing.
And the best part, she's actually a really talented saleswoman. I guess before the company went under, she was the top performing member on their sales staff. So it seems that my weakness for women actually turned out to the company's benefit this time around.
That's interesting. So she really is a talented saleswoman? I wouldn't have thought that based on how filthy her desk is.
Huh? Did something happen between you and Laura? You seem like you're not too happy to have her around.
She just texted me a while ago while I was on my way out of the office. She ordered me to return to the office and straighten up her desk for her. She claimed it was a direct order from my employer. I just got done doing that for her a moment ago and thought I'd message you to ask about her.
Are you serious?
It seems that while her performance may be top-notch, her personality is a bit rough around the edges. For example, she referred to me as the cleaning lady and had quite the haughty attitude when she was speaking to me. Toward the end, she threatened to have me fired if I disobeyed her orders. It was all so odd. I thought there must be some kind of mistake. I didn't think you would ever hire a person such as that.
Wow! I had no idea that's the kind of person Laura is. She never acts that way around me. She's always seemed like a perfectly sweet young woman. I'm sorry you had to get caught up in my mistake like this, Mom.
Don't feel bad. I don't hold you responsible for this at all. It's just that as the company's president, I thought you had a right to know what sort of people are representing your company. With a pompous attitude like that, there's no telling what sort of trouble she might cause for you.
Thanks for letting me know, Mom. I think the best thing to do for now is to just keep a close eye on her for a while. You don't need to do anything she says, Mom. If she threatens you, you can just ignore it. Feel free to name drop me, too, if you want. Anytime she causes you trouble, tell her I need to speak to her in my office.
Thank you, dear. I'll do just that.
Hey, what gives, Granny? What are you doing here at the wedding today? You're just the office cleaning lady. This is no place for the likes of you. Now get out of here before anyone notices you're here.
You've got some nerve, Laura. All I was doing was sitting in my seat, waiting for the wedding to start, and you came along, grabbed my arm, and threw me out of the cathedral. And why won't the door open? Did you lock it?
Unlock it and let me in this instant. Not a chance. I already told you, this is no place for a filthy little cleaning lady like you.
How dare you speak to me in that manner?
Oh my God, how oblivious can you be? Don't you have any idea what you're trying to do? Today is the company president's wedding. That doesn't mean just anyone can come, though. Only people who were invited. He didn't even invite half the people on the sales staff. What makes you think it's okay for the cleaning lady to come?
I could ask you the same question, Laura. What makes you think you have the right to be here? You only joined the company earlier in the year. Why would you come to such an exclusive event?
It just so happens that I have a very special relationship with the president.
What do you mean?
We met back in college. He was a year ahead of me, but I still had a bunch of classes with him. So I've known him since before he even became the president here.
There are thousands of students at that university. I don't see how being at the same college makes your relationship special.
About that. That's not the only thing that makes our relationship special. I'm not just a special person to the president. I'm a very special woman to him, too.
Which means...
The truth is that he's always had a thing for me, ever since we were in our school days. He treated me way differently than all the other girls. He would invite me to sit next to him in the cafeteria, invite me out to parties. And I could just tell by the way he looked at me that he felt very strongly about me. Do you get it now, or do I have to spell it out for you?
Are you saying you think he's in love with you?
Don't be silly. I don't think he loves me. I know he loves me. I told him I was having trouble finding a job, and he dropped everything to get me hired into his company. Would he do that if I were just like any other woman to him? Obviously not.
Laura, dear, I think you should take a moment and come back to reality. Have you forgotten what sort of event this is? It's his wedding. He's marrying someone today, and she is not you. If you were the one he loved, why wouldn't he be marrying you today instead?
You really don't get it, do you? This wedding is just a formality. It's all a show.
A show?
You might be too dense to see what's going on, but I understand everything perfectly. He's only marrying this woman for the benefit of his company. After all, he's the company president. He has to keep up a particular image. So he found this woman who has some sort of strategic importance to further the company's interests. That's all. I'm the one he really wants, but he's so devoted to his work that he's going through with this charade. Isn't that admirable of him?
Laura, listen to yourself. Do you really believe that's true?
Well, duh, it's the truth. I know it has to be hard for him to make a false vow in front of all these people today, so I came to comfort him through all that. When he sees me out in the crowd, we'll share a knowing glance, and that will give him all the courage he needs. I knew he'd need me here, so I begged and pleaded with him to invite me today.
That's why he invited you? Because you begged him to?
He didn't put up much of a fight. In that moment, it became clearer than ever how he felt about me.
Oh my.
And in spite of all that, you, a lowly, filthy, pathetic old cleaning lady, are gonna come and crash the party? How could you do something so cruel to him? He is suffering enough already. This is an important day for Keith and I to deepen the bonds of love between us, and I won't have you ruining the moment. Get out of here now and don't come back. Why don't you go and make yourself useful by cleaning the office bathroom or something?
I think you'll come to regret doing this to me very, very soon, Laura.
What? As if. Why would I ever regret sending a dirty old cleaning lady packing?
I was hoping I wouldn't have to do this, but you leave me no choice. I'm going to have to tell my son Keith about this.
Huh? Keith? What Keith are we talking about here? Not my Keith, right?
He may be your Keith to you, but he was never yours, and he will never be yours. He is my son, your employer, and the man getting married to the love of his life today. And right now, I'm going to contact him and tell him one of his employees just threw his mother out of the chapel.
What? Wait, hold on just 1 second. You're Keith's mom? The Keith who I went to school with, the company president?
Indeed I am. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Keith's mother, Miranda. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
What's going on? This doesn't make any sense. I mean, you're just the cleaning lady, aren't you? You're always wearing that cleaning lady uniform when you're around the office. You definitely looked the part.
I'm sorry, is there a rule against a woman my age having a part-time job?
I mean, no, but if you're really his mom, then why are you working part-time at his company?
My Keith is such a generous and loving boy who cares for his mother dearly. Ever since my husband passed away, he's been sending me money each month to help support me. But I always felt terrible accepting it. It was far too much. So I spoke to him about it one day, and we decided that rather than him simply giving me the money, he would instead hire me just like any other staff member.
So that's why you clean the office?
It makes it far easier for me to accept money from him, knowing that I've earned it through my own hard work. Although, to be honest, I feel like he's paying me far above market wages for my position.
So it's true. You really are his mom. All this time, I thought you were just some cleaning lady. That's why I figured I could get away with ordering you around like that.
Ah, yes, like the time about 6 months ago when you called me back to the office to straighten up your desk for you. That came as quite a shock to me. It's been many years since I started cleaning here, but no one has ever done anything like that to me.
Hey, about that.
Sorry, Laura, I just got a text from Keith. He's telling me I can come in through the east gate. Well, thank goodness. For a moment, I thought this silliness was going to keep me from seeing my son on his big day.
So, I had no idea that you were his mom. If I did, then, jeez, I never would have done half of the stuff I did to you. So, I'm sorry. I'm really, really, really sorry for everything.
I'm sure you are, dear. You have quite a lot to be sorry about. And that was before you blurted out that nonsense about thinking my son was in love with you. I've been at an utter loss for words for the last several minutes.
No, you don't understand. I'm being serious about that. He really does love me.
Oh, Laura.
So don't worry about that. I've known Keith forever. I can read him like a book. I also don't have any delusions about being Keith's #1 girl. I am totally fine with being his #2 girl as long as I can call myself Keith's girl. Nothing else matters to me.
And what makes you think you can call yourself my girl, Laura? I already have one girl. I have no need for a second one.
Huh?
My mom texted me saying she got thrown out of the chapel, so I hurried over to see if she was okay. Just what in the world do you think you're doing? Why did you throw my mom out of the chapel, Laura? And what's this ridiculous nonsense about me secretly being in love with you or whatever?
But Keith, it's not ridiculous or nonsense. It's the truth. I know that you're in love with me. You don't have to hide it. I understand exactly what's going on today. You're not marrying that woman for love. It's all business.
What is wrong with you? Of course I'm in love with her.
What?
We've known each other since we were kids. We started dating way back in high school. We used to play on the playground together back when we were in elementary school. Then when we got into middle school, I started to, notice her. But she was too close of a friend. I could never tell her how I felt. Once we were in high school, other boys started asking her out, and that was too much for me to take. I went right up to her and told her how I felt about her.
Keith, no! Don't talk like that. You don't mean it. I'm the one you've loved all along. I'm the one you've been hiding your feelings about.
You're wrong, Laura. The only woman I love, the only woman I've ever loved, is the woman I'm marrying today. How could I ever love you when I have her by my side?
But you've been so kind to me, way kinder than you were to all the other girls. You used to invite me to parties all the time.
And what of it? I invited tons of people to parties. What good is a party without plenty of people there to enjoy it? And you're just wrong about me giving you special treatment. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Then what about the way you hired me into your company? The only way that makes sense is if you really are in love with me.
Wrong again. I've hired multiple old classmates into my company just like I did for you.
No.
A lot of them had similar stories to you about suddenly finding themselves without work through no fault of their own. Others had family who needed support and were looking for a job with higher income potential. I always try my best to help out anyone who comes to me for help. As long as both of our needs align, why not bring them on? It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. I wasn't giving you special treatment at all.
That can't be.
It's the way it is, so you'll just have to accept it and move on. You aren't anything special to me, Laura. I want you to leave my wedding right now. I won't let you do any more damage than you already have today.
Keith, you're kicking me out?
After you physically threw my mom out of the chapel? Of course I am! And another thing, I'm putting you on unpaid suspension as of today. Don't bother coming to the office again until I call for you.
Suspension?
For now, I'll talk to HR before I make any long-term decisions. But frankly, having someone like you around the office is just too creepy for me to handle right now. You'll receive word of our final decision within the week. Don't bother coming in to pick up your things. I'll have them sent to you. Now, as I was saying, I want you out of here before the wedding starts, so leave.
Keith, wait, don't do this. Don't kick me out. Don't send me away. Let me celebrate your wedding with you.
You can celebrate my wedding all you want from your own home. So leave now, or I'll call the police.
This isn't fair. Why am I getting fired? You did this, didn't you? What did you say to Keith? Did you tell him to fire me? Tell me the truth.
Laura, oh, you poor miserable thing.
There is no way my Keith would ever fire me unless you told him to. Sure, maybe I was a little bit out of line when I was sure that Keith loved me and wanted to marry me, but that's besides the point. Nothing changes the fact that he and I have a special relationship. He hired me, didn't he? He rushed to help me in my time of need. That means he has to have at least some kind of feelings for me.
Actually, I agree with you there. I'm sure he has some kind of feelings for you. As for what those feelings are, I believe we may disagree.
Right? So it's totally out of the ordinary for him to do something like firing me. That's why I know for a fact that you're behind this. So how did you do it? What did you say to him that got him to fire me? Did you threaten to write him out of your will? To cut off contact? Tell me!
I told you before, Laura, as far as Keith's company is concerned, all I am is one of its many employees, nothing more. If the decision was made to fire you, then it must have been Keith's decision. Even setting aside the recent events for a moment, you can't honestly expect them to keep you on after discovering you falsified your work history.
What? What do you mean falsified?
I think you know, dear. You sold yourself as the top saleswoman in the company you used to work at before it went bankrupt. But that wasn't true at all, was it? No, you were, in fact, the worst performing person on the entire sales team. Maybe I'm being too hard on you, considering you convinced yourself Keith was in love with you. Perhaps you genuinely do believe you were number one.
Hey, how did you guys find out about that? That company went bankrupt. Those records shouldn't exist anymore. I mean, the entire company got chopped up into pieces and sold off to various other companies. Where did you get my performance results from?
I have to hand it to my Keith. He's always been a persistent boy. Once he sets his mind on figuring something out, he practically refuses to sleep until he does. Like you said, your company's assets were sold off to various other firms. It took quite a bit of digging, but Keith managed to identify the one that purchased your company's former headquarters. He talked to them and asked if they had thrown away your old company's files. They told him no, everything was just the way it was when they purchased the building.
Oh no!
He walked right into your old office, opened the file cabinets, pulled out your file, and that was that. You should know, however, that my son wasn't planning to fire you at first. He felt awful about kicking you back out onto the curb after coming to him for help. But once he found out that you were prepared to lie to his face after he extended such kindness to you, all bets were off. He can't continue to work with someone who he can't trust.
Okay, I fudged the numbers a little bit. So what?
This is a business, Laura, not a charity, and he's the president. If any harm were to come to the company because of your lies, he would be the one to take responsibility for it. So you see, he had no choice but to fire you.
All I wanted was for Keith to think I was special. I wanted him to admire me. That's not such a bad thing to do, right? I never wanted to deceive him. I love him.
You don't lie to people you love, Laura. Regardless of the circumstances, a lie is a lie. And don't pretend that your performance was the only lie you told him. You always acted like a sweet, innocent little angel whenever Keith was around. But as soon as he left the room, you started using your position in the company to threaten me into doing your work for you. This was never going to end any other way but you being terminated.
Please, tell Keith I love him. Tell him I'm sorry. Ask him to forgive me.
It wouldn't do a bit of good at this point, dear. It's time for you to move on. If I may offer you a piece of motherly advice, the next time your desk needs to be straightened up, do it yourself. As Keith said at the wedding, he packaged up all the personal items in Laura's desk and sent them to her. Out of a job, Laura began a desperate search for a new one. However, any time she gets asked for her reason for leaving her previous place of employment, she gives the same explanation, which takes liberties with the truth. Apparently, she's telling people that the company president fell in love with her and started stalking her, so she feared for her life and quit. Now, had she gone to another town, she might have gotten away with those lies, but my son has many connections in the local business world. Once he heard how despicably she was defaming him, he immediately called his lawyer and launched a lawsuit against her for slander. Now, not only is she unable to find a job anywhere within a 50-mile radius, she also owes my son a remarkably large amount in damages awarded to him at the trial. She tried to get out of paying it the same way she got him to hire her, by breaking down in front of him and crying her eyes out. This time, however, it seems my son has learned a lesson about dealing with a woman like Laura. Her crocodile tears won't be enough to rescue her from the mess she made for herself this time.